Do you love going to Broadway shows, but can't go now because Broadway's closed? Join tour guide Tim and Belasco too as they bring Broadway history to you. Grab your Broadway passport for what's in store on your virtual Broadway tour.
In the late 1800s, while the theaters were clustered in Herald Square before their move uptown, Times Square, then called Longacre Square, was populated instead with stables. The horse and carriage trade was a booming business, but the introduction of automobiles and streetcars would be the death knell for the equestrian industry. As the theaters moved in, all the stables were moved up towards Central Park. Well, almost all of them. The American Horse Exchange was built in 1880 by leading financier William Vanderbilt. After suffering a devastating fire in 1896 that destroyed most of the original building and unleashed horses running throughout the streets of Midtown to escape, it was rebuilt and reopened within a year. Enter J Schubert. On a walk on a spring day in 1910, he passed the Exchange and instantly envisioned a theater instead. For the price of $40,000 a month, the Schuberts took over the building, removed the horses and sawdust and filled it with seats and curtains, and named it the Winter Garden. And if a show flopped in the early years of the theater, the critics, knowing the prior history of the building, would remark that the show stunk so bad you could still smell the original stalls. Creative. The inaugural show at the Winter Garden was called The Musical Revue of 1911, later changed to La Belle Paris, featuring a cast of 280 people. It began with an opera that many described as confusing, followed by a dance interlude, and then finally La Belle Paris featuring 22 songs. This was the standout, and the rest was dropped after opening night, hence the name change. In the fourth hour of the opening night, a performer hit the boards of the Winter Garden who would go on to stardom, Jolson. The problem? Half the audience had already left by then. In the changes made to the show, Jolson was moved to an earlier appearance, donning blackface and singing Jerome Kern's "Paris is a Paradise for Coons." Jolson made an entire career off of the ridicule of African Americans at a time when this form of entertainment was widely accepted. While blackface would eventually be condemned, the recent outpouring of stories from black performers sharing their experiences working in the professional theater industry draws into question just how far we've come. While creating the series, I was standing in front of the Winter Garden while 1,000 protesters chanting "Black Lives Matter" marched past. Presumably, none of them knew of the history of blackface that had taken place in the walls behind them, but I'm hopeful, while seeing two different time periods clash together before me, that we can use our history to learn from our past mistakes in order to see a more equitable theater landscape going forward. Just stage left of Jolson on opening night of La Belle Paris was a dancer that you've surely never heard of in any Broadway history books, but you might recognize her face, Audrey Munson. She moved to New York City in 1909 and quickly set her sights on Broadway. And while she performed in a handful of shows, her claim to fame would soon be set in stone. Literally. She was discovered by a number of artists and sculptors and quickly became their muse. If you've ever been to Central Park, you've seen her atop the USS Maine Monument in Columbus Circle, or atop the Manhattan Municipal Building, or in front of the Plaza Hotel on Fifth Avenue. She became known as America's first supermodel, but faded into obscurity. After attempting to commit suicide, her mother committed her to an insane asylum in Ogdensburg, New York, where she spent the last 65 years of her life, finally passing away at the age of 104. Thankfully, Audrey can still be seen on Broadway today. The original plaque on the exterior of the Helen Hayes Theater on 44th Street features Audrey carved in stone for all to see. People often ask me what makes a show a hit, where nowadays the technical definition is when a show has recouped its original investment. That wasn't always the case. In the early 1900s, a hit show was defined by the length of its run, specifically whether it had hit 100 performances. This was known as the century mark. We are an industry of traditions, even if those rituals no longer have any practical relevance. So you'll still see a show celebrating their 100th performance, even though that no longer has much tangible meaning. Beginning with the opening production at the Winter Garden of La Belle Paris, which ran for 104 performances, this milestone would be achieved many times over the next 100 years. In fact, the Winter Garden is commonly known as one of the luckiest theaters among industry professionals. Just listen to this list of shows that originally opened here. Hell's a Poppin', Wonderful Town, Peter Pan, West Side Story, The Unsinkable Molly Brown, Funny Girl, Mame, Follies, 42nd Street, Cats, Mamma Mia, and School of Rock. The next show moving in after the shutdown, The Music Man Revival, starring Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster. I don't think the critics will be talking about the original Stinky Stalls on that one.
Hello! Happy Saturday Night on Broadway here from New York City, capital of the universe, or where dreams are made of, or something like that. For those who don't know me, my name is Tim Dolan. I'm an actor and the owner of Broadway Up Close walking tours here in New York City. We give tours of the theater district, all the secrets, fun facts, ghost stories, all of the weird history things that you didn't know you wanted to know, and we'll tell you. Every week we're coming to you live with someone who has worked at the theater we're featuring that week. And this week our guest is the incredible Cassie Okenka from School of Rock at the Winter Garden. For a little more info about Broadway Up Close, for those who don't know, we cover 41 Broadway theaters. My entire team that I call my green team, there's lots of green in my Irish life, are all actors and stage managers who are our windows and eyes into the world of Broadway's past and present. And then about a year ago, we opened our gift shop with a 6-foot-tall Broadway sign that you may have seen on Instagram for the perfect little Instagram moment. It's about 150 light bulbs made of marquee letters, and that gets lit up every day when we're not in a complete, absolute meltdown pandemic. For our 5 exterior tours, in addition to that, we opened in October our newest tour, which is inside the oldest Broadway theater, which is the Hudson. And for the info on all of those tours and our kiosk and all the info you ever wanted to know about me and my life, you can head to BroadwayUpClose.com, but you should do that after the interview. You should do it now. You should stay here with us and you should hang out with us for a half hour. If you've joined us before, you know that when this all started, I never really envisioned a world where Broadway would be shut down for any long period of time. To me, the two words that are synonymous are New York City and Broadway. As the shutdown, you know, the goalpost kept moving and we kept extending, I started to realize that, oh, this is going to be longer than I think any of us think. And so now here we are, many months in. I thought I'm missing connecting with theater goers and tour goers and just talking about theater. And so I said, I'm going to bring it virtually. And we created this Virtual Broadway Tour Series, exploring one theater every week, which brings us to this week, which is, I think we're in week 6, which is the Winter Garden. I hope you've enjoyed history, fun facts all week. And if you haven't, on YouTube tomorrow, the entire week series, as well as our interview tonight with Cassie, will be on our YouTube page. How is tonight going to work? For tonight's series, we'll learn all about Cassie's theatrical journey, her time working at the Winter Garden Theater on School of Rock. If you have any questions for her, you have any questions for me, drop them in the comments. And if you're joining us, give us a little wave, hello, and let us know where you're watching from. And I think that's it. It'll be fun. It'll be easy. She's wonderful. You're going to love her. And so without further ado, join me in welcoming Broadway's Cassie Okenka. Hello.
Hi!
How are you?
You?
It's so good to see you. I keep saying like, oh, great. It's so great to see everyone with huge air quotes. Happy Saturday Night on Broadway. Thanks for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here.
Tell me, okay, let's just start nice and easy. Will you tell us where you're from? Will you tell us like your upbringing pre-New York City, if you weren't born in New York City, and then like early show memories, and then keep fast forwarding, and then we'll start talking about shows and things you did and auditions and all of that.
Absolutely. So I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio, OH. And I went to a performing arts high school. And from there, I did community theater. I did all of my school shows. There was a theater that had equity contracts. They were part of the actors union that had like 1 equity member per show. And so I got to do a lot of community theater up there in Michigan called the Croswell Opera House.
Yes, in Adrian, Michigan. Is that
Yes,
right?
Adrian, Michigan.
Yeah, we have every year oh gosh, I didn't know this. Every year the Lenawee Christian School, I think it is, comes, and that is their like main home base theater. And we have them on our tour every other year, every 2 Januaries. That's incredible. What a small world.
I love Small World. It's so true. So, you know, like the fantastic shows that they put on. And it was a great experience for me to be like, oh, this is a beautiful midway of like community theater, but still professionally run. So I have a really good foundation of how theater should go, quote unquote.
Sure. Lots of quotes. Crazy. Okay. And so then from there, what happens after that?
After that, I ended up going to Baldwin Wallace University Conservatory of Music in Berea, Ohio, which is outside of Cleveland. So it was great because I was away from home, but I didn't have to get on a plane to go home. Sure. But my parents still couldn't like pop in every day to be like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, no way, I'm at college.
Correct. You're like, let me live my life for 4 years. Bye. Crazy. Okay. And did you love it? It's an incredible program.
I did. I absolutely loved it. I loved the experiences you got. I loved the people. My class, we're called the Love Class because they did a fantastic job of putting together these incredible people from incredible backgrounds that we still show up for each other, even some years later. Sure. And so it's been really nice to kind of see how the program has grown even since I've been there. Wow. I really enjoyed it.
And that it's crazy, you know, when the longer you get in the business of years, it's crazy those core people that, you know, it's fewer and fewer every year. I feel like as you go on, of the people that like you were in that school and that like infantile moment of your career. So it's crazy to still have people around. I love that. And I love that you have the Love Class. I love that you have like a nickname for your class.
It's very special. And I know that it does not happen often that this amount of people still like each other.
Yes.
After all these years.
Crazy. Okay. So then you get out of school, you do a showcase?
I do. So funny enough, my senior year, this wonderful casting director named Rachel Hoffman comes in and does a master class. So I sing my song, do all my things, and I end up, I believe, putting into a file. And that file kind of wiggles around, and I end up doing the Legally Blonde Search for Elle Woods reality show on MTV.
Oh my gosh.
So actually, I was still in college my senior year when we did that. So I don't know how I passed any class my senior year because I missed like a good month and a half of school.
Oh my gosh. This is crazy. And you now, okay, it's all coming back. So then you were like Cassie O and there was Cassie someone else?
Yeah, Cassie S, Cassie Silva. Hey girl.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever put that together.
Oh yeah.
That's you, and that was a thing, and it's literally all coming back for me live on Facebook.
You're welcome.
That's great. Okay,
please don't YouTube it.
No, we all have. It's like suddenly our count of followers dropped. Everyone is now Googling. We're all spending our Saturday night watching this after. Oh, this is incredible. Okay, so what was that? You're still in college. It's the first. No, Greece had already done Greece was the first. Okay. But it's still like new territory of like, talk to me about all of this.
It was, number one, I have a lot of respect now for anyone that's ever been involved in a reality show because it is a totally different ball game. I had an experience. I got kicked off early, which knock on wood, was a blessing in disguise. So I called it Princess Prison. We could get whatever we wanted, but we could not leave. So it's like, I want salmon or lobster or steak for dinner, whatever you want, but you can't leave. So
and you're trapped where? Like in the Empire Hotel?
Yeah, we were right by Lincoln Center.
Oh my gosh.
I will say they it was really interesting coming from college because I didn't know competitively how was I ready? Was I ready to jump into this pool of this Broadway community? Was I ready to audition, hold my own, knew what I was doing, super green, all of these things. And it was a cool experience to be like, oh, I am ready. I'm ready to at least be in the same room, be in collaboration with these awesome ladies, which is really nice.
Wow. And so how far did you make it before you were booted off?
I was top 10. I was the first one kicked off.
Come on.
But I got the montage. I got to meet all these incredible people, and it was really nice. Once I did graduate, I could walk into the Bernie Telsey office, which, casts a ton of Broadway shows. And has been a great partner with me for the past couple years. They knew who I was. And so for a newcomer to come to the city, having this big casting giant know who I was without having to be reminded, look at a resume, I think I remember her from this, that was a blessing too.
Yeah, it's all not unheard of, but it's such a rarity in that moment of your life to already kind of have huge LaDuca shoes in the door, for lack of a better, which is crazy. Yes. And so then for people who are watching, I'm trying to think, I don't think we've ever talked about it. Like casting directors are like the gatekeeper of auditions who like organize all of the appointments and things. So they're truly the gatekeepers. They are the ones that you want to get to like you. And so that's huge. And then Bernie Telsey, he got to start as Rent was his first like major theater project. And then since then it's every show that you guys who are watching have ever seen in life. Somehow probably Telsey is attached. Crazy. Okay, so then you're like, I am so much, and then you move to New York City. Cuts.
Yeah. So I do a showcase for with my school and end up moving to New York with 3 of my lovely girlfriends, and 3 of my other girlfriends lived across the street up in Harlem. And I ended up auditioning and getting cast as Dorothy in the national tour of The Wizard of Oz.
Which is like, it feels like a quintessential dream come true.
Oh my gosh.
role.
I remember being on the phone and being like, this is amazing. Oh my God. Like,
oh my gosh.
It was a very cool thing, because who hasn't grown up with The Wizard of Oz? I mean, my sister spray painted shoes in the basement that we still have red marks from. She was always she loved the movie. So I loved the movie because I wanted to be like my big sister. And it was always a huge thing in Americana that it was cool that I get to A, learn what it means to be a lead in a show. B, I get to tour around and see all these different places that I never thought I would ever see and had really no reason why to go because I didn't have family there or anything.
Right.
And C, I get to like take on a gigantic role and make it my own, which I loved.
Yeah. And so then there's the challenge of people are expecting Judy Garland, right? So was there talk, I imagine, of like, you have to kind of honor what the beast of this thing is, but also put your spin on it?
Yeah. No, I will say we never had that conversation. Okay. Funny enough, our version with lovely Jason Simon, Chris Kind, Noah Aberlin were my 3 boys. We were choreographed and directed by Brits. So we had a British creative team. Oh,
so they're like, we haven't even seen it.
They had no idea how huge Wizard of Oz is. I think they tried to change one line and it was like, a heart is not as something, something. And we were like, you can't, no, you can't.
No. You're like, there's no place like house. You're like, exactly. No, you can't, it has to be.
Yeah, it was one of those like iconic things where we're like, you can't ask to, no, that's not no.
Oh, crazy. And for those who have been following along this week, we launched our Ornaments, and my graphic designer is Chris Kind, who was your Tin Man.
Yes.
I met him doing The Wizard of Oz. He was my Tin Man as well years ago.
Good.
He's so good. He just shows up and he's like, where do I stand? Let's do this. And he is like my right-hand man for like everything. I literally moments before this, he called. I was like, I can't talk to you right now. I'm talking to your Dorothy. And it's the smallest world of life, but I love that. Okay. So then you do that for how long?
I did it for about 2 years. So I did year 1 and year 2, and we had summers off. So I still felt like I was in college, strangely, because it had a very college feel. Like you would go for the fall, off for summer, go back on for the fall. So I still didn't fully immerse myself into New York City yet.
Wow. Okay. And so then you get back and...
I get back and I don't work for a good year and a half. And I am pounding the pavement, auditioning, trying to show that I'm doing good work in good places, taking classes, and then the unimaginable happens. I go in and audition, and I end up getting cast as the Swing, which I understudied 3 ensemble roles and the role of Bonnie and Clyde on Broadway.
Oh my gosh.
It was incredible.
Oh, I mean, the cast alone, Frank Wildhorn alone, and then you covered Laura Osnes,
who's a dear, like, what a wonderful human being to cover. I couldn't ask for anything more.
Oh my, and I saw it. I loved it. It short-lived, I guess we'll say.
It lasted a month.
Correct. Okay, good. I was like, I don't remember how long, but I remember like blinking and seeing the marquee coming down.
Yep.
Okay. And so you just went in, they had already workshops and all of that kind of had happened. And then you just went in and were like, and they were like, we pick you.
Funny enough, you wish, right?
I know. I'm like, right? Please tell me that's how that went. You're like, no, 4 years later.
Literally. So, they had already done productions in La Jolla and Oslo, I believe, and they were looking they didn't have swings involved, I think, or something happened with contracts, who knows what. So they were looking for someone to fill this slot. So I walk in, and Jeff Calhoun is the lovely, beautiful, oh, what a kind man director. We're going to do a flashback.
Sure.
So before the reality show in college, I think. Somebody's going to correct me if I'm wrong. My school did a regional premiere of Brooklyn. And so me and this beautiful woman, Patty Lore, we alternated roles. And so Dave Clements, who was the original casting director for Brooklyn, came and saw it. And he was like, oh, this production's fantastic. I would love to bring in the original director, who was Jeff Calhoun. And who knows why, what stars were in alignment. He ended up coming to the show that I was on for. And so we flash forward so many years later, and Jeff's looking at my resume, and he goes, oh, you did Brooklyn. And I said, oh, yeah, you actually saw me in Cleveland in my college. And he goes, huh. Right.
Oh,
so I was like, really hope that's good and not like I saw her and she was garbage. Pass on her.
Through the shredder. You're like, no, God.
Exactly. So I ended up going back in, I think, 2 or 3 more times after that, and then end up getting the call that I'm joining the Actors Union with that show and making my Broadway debut with it.
Oh my gosh. And so, so in the short month, did you go on? How many times did you go on?
I was like, I could die hopefully I won't, but I could die a very happy woman tomorrow knowing I was able to accomplish what I came here to accomplish. The second week of previews, there was kind of a bug that was going through, and Laura Osnes, of course, being the smart actress she was like, I have to take care of my instrument. I'm going to take Sunday matinee off. So the second week of previews, I had one rehearsal where we just ran the Bonnie and Clyde scenes in Act 1 and maybe a little bit of a music rehearsal. She knew she wasn't feeling too well on Saturday, so I was running around the theater, shadowing her, meaning following her around to see all of her backstage exercises, backstage track, backstage costume changes. And then I got to kind of get not thrust on, but thrown on.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, on Sunday. I am also what I like to call a fear-based performer. So during all the rehearsals, I was sitting there writing things down, making sure I knew, oh, she touches the doorknob with her right because she's carrying a suitcase with her left to be able to swing through this way. So I'm looking for all of those small details that I think really gave me a lot of success when I was able to go on.
Yeah, I'm the exact opposite. See, I never think of that. I'm just like, big picture, someone will push me, it'll be fine. And then I'm like, I go to open the door with a suitcase. And then you're like, oh no. And then it all falls apart. And then I panic. And this is why I don't like understudying. It stresses me out. That's crazy. Okay. So then you, at least once, were Bonnie and Clyde on Broadway. That is crazy, with Jeremy Jordan.
It was very cool.
I love that. Okay, then let's fast forward for time's sake. That closes a month later, and then your next big show is
I did an after tour of
Wicked. And you covered?
I covered Glinda, and then I left for a little bit and then came back and covered Glinda and Nessa Rose.
And I think when I officially met you, I had worked with your husband before, but when I think I met you was the second time you were on that tour, I think. Yep. And I saw you go on as Glinda, and you're a star. So good.
Thanks.
So good. And then how long did you do that for?
So I was on and off for about 2.5 years.
Okay. And then you get back in that School of Rock.
And then literally 6 months later, because my unemployment ran out the week before rehearsals for School of Rock.
Crazy. And you did School of Rock the entire run. The
entire time. Me and Jesse Swim and I are the only ones that did, in the cast, company-wise, we had a few more people, but cast-wise, we were in it the entire time.
Hilarious. Neil Haskell. Do you know Neil Haskell? He goes by Neil David, apparently, on Facebook. He says it's got Linda. So thank you, Neil. Hi, Neil. He also made an earlier oil can joke, which we're gonna ignore. Sorry, Neil. We can't play them all. So okay, talk to me about School of Rock. Working at the Winter Garden, did you know any of the history of the building? I mean, it's one of I think the most iconic and famous. But again, you're working on a show, and most people don't ever tell you like about the building. So did you know any of the history of the barn and all of that going in?
I was a nerd, similar to you, and so this wonderful book came out that kind of described the history of all these Broadway theaters, and I was like, okay, I hope this one's going to sit here longer than a month. So like, let me see if I can figure out what makes this building tick. And what's cool about Broadway shows is that a lot of the crew members are house crew members, meaning they only work with shows in that building. Right. So I'm working with people that have been there since Cats, that have been there since Funny Girl, like have seen the theater change. And I was able to be like, okay, when this was here, how did they do this? Oh, when like Rocky was here, how did you guys handle all of that stuff? And so it was very cool to hear some of the stories from the backstage point of view. Wow.
That's crazy. And then, we have a Wicked question. Let's backtrack to Wicked very quickly, and then we'll cut back to School of Rock. Caitlin, who we love, says, who was your Elphaba on tour? Carrie Ellis, Jessica Vosk. We always love you guys coming to Philadelphia.
Woo woo! I had many. Unfortunately, I missed those two ladies. I was on the first national tour, so I had my first Elfie was Mamie Paris, who I understudied in School of Rock.
I was going to say who you are. Yeah, sure.
She's the jam. Dee Rossioli, Emma Hutton, Emmy Raver Lampman, Carla Stickler, Shayla Osborne. I'm also naming understudies and standbys because everybody does a fantastic job in that show, and I'm probably going to forget some more. What other Green girls have I played with? Nicole. I've played with, I think, a few other ladies. I got to see a good round of new ones coming in and ladies that have come back, which has been really fun. That's
crazy. And Rick, your husband, was in the show with you.
Mm-hmm. He got there before me, and he understudied Bach.
And so what was that like, kind of, I guess, coming into it? He had already done it, so you're already mildly familiar with the company, and then you join the cast? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, that was really it. And we are lucky enough that as our love and romance blossomed, our tracks in the show don't intersect at all. So there would be complete nights that I wouldn't see him except to be like, oh yeah, he's on stage over across the stage from me, but I actually didn't have any interaction with him, which I think is how we survived, because I feel like if I saw him all the time, this would not be happening.
You're like, I'm sick of you. Let's be done with this.
Exactly.
That's crazy. Okay, so fast forward back to School of Rock, and okay, so you spend enough time in the building that you start to become familiar. I mean, it's ancient, right? It's 109 years old this year. 109? Yeah, 109 years old. And so does it feel ancient? Does it feel iconic? What does it feel like? It
definitely feels iconic. It feels like you can understand the amount of energies and the amount of people that have created in that building. It's always fun to find like the little random things around. So on a water pipe, there might be an old name tag from somebody. If you look underneath the you're getting ready station, you might see signed things. My personal favorite was upstairs, across from room 9, where in our show was our ensemble ladies. There were footprints on the laminate floor, and on the door, you could tell something had been written there, but it had been painted over, except when it would get humid, that it would like come out. And we figured out it was from some sort of door competition that Mamma Mia had. And it just had been painted over through things, but its history would shone through whether we wanted it to or not.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's that's honestly my favorite part of working in any theater, is like the little kind of remnants of the past, or the paintings, the scenic murals on the wall when you're on tour or whatever. Yes. I love that. And then of course we didn't talk about it in this week, but the Bridge of Thighs, the thrust runway that I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't mention this. And we did our little episode this week on L. Jolson in Blackface and that whole awful history. But they said part of the reason it was so crazy, his performance, was because this runway extended down the front, and no one had ever seen a performer that close, and no one had ever seen all of these women that close. And so they called it the Bridge of
Thighs, which I think is hilarious at School of Rock, because we are the most clothed unsexy things in the world. So it made me laugh to be like, yes, bridge of thighs in my gym wear.
Correct. In your yoga pants with your rolling foam roller.
Exactly.
Crazy. Okay, so do you have any? You did the whole run. So do you have? Who did you cover people in the show in School of Rock?
I ended up covering the role of Patty, which was Ned's the best friend's girlfriend. Originally played by Mamie Paris, replaced by Becky Gulsvig, and then Lori Marinesi.
Wow. And then throughout the run, where you're working with so many of the most talented kids ever in life, are there any like favorite kid stories? Things gone right, things gone wrong, kids you loved, kids you hated.
I didn't hate. And I mean, some of them I was like, guys, you're going to be so cool when you grow up. Just
correct.
It'll be fine. I'm still, every time, and I have to change my brain, every time I see a commercial with like a kid 9 to 13, I was like, are those my babies? No, they're all older now. And they're all doing amazing things. I can watch them on the Disney Channel. I can watch them in movies. I can watch them, like, they're doing amazing, changing the world things.
Wow.
One of my favorite stories is we had a wonderful kid who played Lawrence, our keyboard player, and they're kids. He got a bloody nose. It happens. Theaters are dry. He gets a bloody nose. So he runs off stage. They try to get it together. It's not happening. Unfortunately, this is during a song called You're in the Band, where they literally introduce every single band member. So he's like, you, Katie, what do you play? You, Zach, what do you play? You, Lawrence. And so Alex Breitman, this lovely, lovely man, clocks that this is happening, knows that the Lawrence thing is coming up. And so he's trying to figure out what's going to happen. So this wonderful kid, Diego, runs off stage. They can't get under control. Their stage manager looks over, and understudy power, this wonderful kid named Ethan, he looks at the stage manager. Stage manager goes, and he goes, okay. And then just like becomes Lawrence. No. And then the other kids like start to move, like take over lines that Ethan would normally say. We're moving chairs that Ethan would like. It was, and the show never stopped. It was the most amazing thing. And I remember our wonderful dance captain, Patrick O'Neill, he was just watching from the wings, and he was like, they don't know this is hard yet. They don't know this is a difficult thing.
There's no fear. There's no like.
One of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my gosh.
It was very, very cool. And I mean, it was just, and like Ethan can play like a madman anyways. So we were like, yes, Ethan, go.
And it's like the fact that they can do everything and all of that on top of like then playing live instruments.
It's insane.
Is insane. It's like, it's insane. It's, God, it must have been just crazy to watch. And so, who is the little guy who played the guitar, who has to be a musical prodigy?
Oh, Brandon?
Yeah, the little guy in the very beginning.
Oh my gosh, he's like the fluff hair.
Fluff hair, yes.
Yes. And like, what a kind, wonderful human. And then it was amazing. I have two stories I want to get back to.
Yeah,
it was amazing to see him blossom as an actor, as a singer, as like a performer, rather than just like not hiding behind a guitar, but being so good at that and opening himself up to become just this full, well-rounded artist, which was very, very cool.
Wow.
I have to, can I tell one more story?
Yes, please. That's what we're here for. Oh my gosh.
So this is one of my favorite things about School of Rock is our first day of rehearsal in the Broadway theater. We see all these amazing kids and things. And there's this shy one who has like shaggy hair. He is a rocker. So like rocker. And so he understudies the guitar. He understudies the drums. But really bass is his first instrument. So you're like, you're 12. I don't understand.
Yeah. And he's like, and I speak French and I also know Japanese.
Literally.
Come on.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so he's definitely shy. He played our security guard. And throughout the run, obviously he gets taller. Obviously he starts to come out of his shell. He has to get a haircut. And this shy thing that played the security guard that like was just a shy little baby of a human ended up doing the Actors Fund talk at the end of the night before he ended up leaving us and graduating. Oh my gosh. And it was a cool thing to see this human grow into this like young man. It was the coolest.
Yeah.
I felt like such a parent. I still feel like a parent.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to feel, I mean, yeah, and sometimes, I mean, especially on 2 show days, it's like you're probably spending more time with them than the parents are.
Oh my God. I'm like,
you
tell me
know?
what you're learning in math. And
Exactly.
explain that to me now. Thank you.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's Wizard of Oz. Did you have, I'm trying to think, every time I've done Wizard of Oz, it's been like local kids as the Munchkins. Did you, when you were on tour, is that what you did?
That's exactly it. We so every time we traveled, we had kind of not set aside, but we set material to the local community so they can get an idea of what to sing, where to stand, all that stuff. And then our people came in the night before or the day of to touch base with them, get them on the stage, say this is this, that is that, make sure you're here, make sure you're there. And then you just kind of go. So there were a couple times, and I felt terrible when we were in a place for 1 or 2 nights. I never had a chance to actually like talk to them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we're running all around. I'm never off stage.
Yep.
And so I would always try to find times to go and say hi to those kids because I was one of those kids. I got to be a local kid in some things in Toledo. So I was like, I know what you're feeling. And it's like, I know this world. It's really cool.
Yeah. And you become, I mean, you have like the perfect position to become like that inspiration for that kid who's like, this one night, this one production of Wizard of Oz came through and the Dorothy came in and said hi.
Like, that's my dream, to be like, hi guys.
Yeah. I mean, it is it's so funny, the circle of life of it all but it's good. So often you get kind of like jaded, especially if you're Dorothy or you're the 4 friends. It's like you're exhausted. You never leave the stage, especially as Dorothy. And so it's easy, I think, to become like jaded. And it's like, I you know, we're here for a couple days. I'm never even going to meet them. But it's nice that you retain that and use that and cherish that, you know.
I'm still waiting for a time that I'm sitting in an audition room and somebody comes up to me and is like, I was your Munchkin and tell us how come. And I was like, oh, yes.
Yes, you're like, still got it. I was at the kiosk working at our gift shop. I don't know, it had to have been last year sometime. And someone walked up and said, oh, she's here. She's just shopping. Her daughter's in a class. I said, oh, is she a performer? She is. She's done a lot of regional work. And I was like, oh, really? Like, where has she worked? Oh, you probably never heard of it. Westchester Broadway Theater. And I was like, yeah, I did Wizard of Oz there. I was the Scarecrow. She said, what? And I was like, yeah, I did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember? Yeah, it was great. Did you see that? And she was like, she was in that. She was one of the Munchkins in that. Oh my God, you were the Scarecrow. And it was like, she's like, oh God, I have to buy things from you. I was like, oh, thank you.
Yes, you do.
Yes, give me all of your money. I'm sure your daughter's ancient now. And she was. But it's like a crazy, it's a small world, as the theme seems to be the theme of today. It's the smallest world. Okay, so shutdown. Life is over. Everything's shut down. Where are you quarantining? What are your thoughts? Are you on an emotional roller coaster daily like I am? Tell me all the things.
I have lots of feelings. Rick and I, my husband and I, got married in September. So the time that School of Rock closed, up until that point, I was in the performing world, but I was being very careful of what I auditioned for because I decided to make the priority the wedding. And so I wasn't going to go for jobs that I can take a day off to go get married and then have to go back to the job.
Sure.
So I was specific about what I wanted to go in for. And so then after that happened, it was kind of creating our new normal. So when the shutdown happened, I was just kind of getting back into the swing of things. So I feel so terrible for the shows that have closed that have not had their closing night.
Yeah.
Because like I can't, it's one of those literally like sing like this is the last time you're going to do this show literally happened. And so,
or like Rent Live where they're like, it's just a dress rehearsal, feel free to mark it. And then the guy breaks his leg and then they air that one. And you're like, well, wait.
Exactly.
Wait, give me that back. I want to redo that. Like,
exactly.
Give me a redo.
You're like, I'll get it right tomorrow. It's fine.
I'll be fine. I'll just do it live. It's those moments are sad. You're right. Yeah.
So that I feel bummed about. I am trying to take this time as a gift. Because so often when we are successful, whatever that may mean, we lose time with our families. We aren't able to go home for holidays. We aren't able to go home for birthdays, graduations, those things. And so when we knew the shutdown was happening, the first thing when we were like, if the NBA shuts down and they're willing to lose that much money, this is huge.
Yes.
So we're like, let's get out of town. And so Rick and I have been quarantining in like 3-4 week stints, either with my family or with his family. And we're just kind of taking advantage of the time with them, which has been really, really great.
Yeah, my mom, I did the same right at the top. I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. Every tour canceled within like 2 days. I was like, I'm out of here. Threw Belasco in my car and took off. And not my car, a rental car. And I'm like, I ride the subway. And and I was home for 7 weeks. And at the end of the 7 weeks, my mom was like, oh, that was like the best 7 weeks ever. And I was like, it was really nice. I haven't been, I know. I was like, see, I haven't been in Grass or Michigan. And she did just say the other day, so are you going to come home for 7 weeks again soon? I was like, oh, wow. That was, it was great, but it has its moments. Maybe like 2 weeks. How about 2 weeks?
Yeah.
But it's a chance that I think that people don't really fully grasp the idea that when you're in a show, it's your entire life. And it's just every day is getting to 8 p.m. and making sure it's a good show and the sacrifices of all of that. I'm the same as you. I think we're hardwired the same of like, we have to treat this as a gift or I'll go insane.
Exactly.
And as a business, people were like, how's your business? I was like, that's great. It's all great. We're doing so many tours. Oh God, it's all going to be fine. Right. And you have this moment of panic and then you're like, wow, we're all still alive in this moment. So I'm thankful for that. I get to see family. And then you just you have to look at the positive. I keep calling it my little orphan Annie. My little orphan Annie optimism is what I keep calling it. I was like, one more day closer to Broadway. It'll be fine. Right, you guys? As everything's burning around us. Tom LaCourte says, when Broadway comes back, do you have a dream role or show you'd like to do? Hi, Tom.
Oh, Tom.
Is it maybe it's a yet to be written? Is there a show running that you're like, in a perfect world, I would love to do that?
I really enjoy the understudy life. I enjoy what it makes my brain do. I enjoy doing that. However, I don't know in what capacity, but I would love to be involved in Come From Away.
Yes.
Tour, regional, when it goes. I think that story is so important. And I've been in for it before, and when I knew I wasn't going further, I literally could not listen to the soundtrack because I felt like it was a breakup. I was like, I can't listen to this right now. But I feel like the story is so important in a time when we need to be reminded of the golden rule, and it's cool music. It's it's a pure ensemble piece, which is so rare these days. I think it's just. It's the bee's knees to me.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. It's one of the only shows that I like instantly saw and then got a ticket. It like bowled me over, and then I was like, I got to go see that again. I got to get another ticket. And it is, I think the thing about it, which I hadn't really thought about it in the context of like a shutdown or like all of this madness that we're living through, but it is, to me, Come From Away as like it feels commercial, it feels accessible musically, but the people on stage, it's not like showgirls and like jacked chorus dudes. It's like
people.
Feels like real people, and it's a real story, and it's about people in this dark moment of life kind of shining through and being humans, and the 7 p.m. Clapping here. There's been so many little reminders of that it makes you wonder if there's going to be a 2020 the musical in 40 years from now, where the opening number is just a whole bunch of people clapping at 7 p.m. or something.
Fun.
Just like, maybe we'll have to write it. I'll work on it. And sure. When you went in for Come From Away, in my mind, I know who I want you to be. Who did you go in for?
I went in for the Janice reporter character. And
yeah. Of course. Yeah.
I do love with that idea of what is life going to look like after quarantine. I think productions like Come From Away are going to be very popular in regional and community theaters because it's cheap. You need chairs and some costumes.
Yeah.
And there's such a variety of people. You can make the cast as big or as small as you want it to be. And so I'm hoping that when it gets licensed out, it's going to be Come From Away everywhere.
Yeah, you'll be Cassie Okenka all over America.
Please, come on, y'all.
Let's do this. Wonderful. That's crazy. And how's Rick doing, your husband? Also a performer?
He is good. He is figuring out what he wants to take advantage of this time with, and how he wants to see how he can take these awesome skills that he has as a performer, and he wants to see what else he can do with them, which is really cool. Yeah,
I think it's with the amount of time that we're given, I think like you say, it's a gift. It's a gift of enough time that it feels like you can devote enough time to that thing you always wanted to do, or that thing that could be a skill that enhances, you know, X, Y, and Z. I have to say, in creating this video series where I was like, 41 weeks, a video every day, that'll be so easy.
No.
And it's insane. No. But my production skills, my video editing skills, I was like, when we're done with this, I'll be like, anyone, give me any social media content. I got you. I'll edit it in 2 seconds.
Absolutely.
Getting very technically savvy. You're incredible. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday night with us. Will you tell us how we should follow you? Do you do TikTok, Twitter, Instagram? How should we, if we want to follow your life?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I am at Okenka, Cokenka. Also, I'm going to plug myself. I teach voice and coaching at voice.cassieokenka.com if you want to see how I'm taking advantage of this time for different programs and certifications.
Perfect.
And I would love to hear from you.
I love that. Thank you so much. You've been absolutely wonderful. And good luck with the rest. My love to Rick. And I look forward to seeing you in Times Square with other people around in person when I can like not just see you, but we can actually see you.
When we can.
Correct. Yes. No air quotes in our lives. You've been incredible. Have a great Saturday night. And I hope to talk to you soon.
See you soon.
Bye. Isn't she wonderful? She's, you know, I'm going to say this probably every week because I'm in love with all of these people, whether I know them really well or not. You can see when you go into an audition, the key to so many auditions is just like being a human and just, you know, kind of demonstrating that one, yes, you can sing really high and you're technically very skilled, but that you're a human and can tell a story. And you can see she's absolutely wonderful. I hope you guys have had a great time all week. The Winter Garden is one of my favorite theaters. And so I hope you've enjoyed both the serious and the comical. This one was a rangy week between Blackface and horse manure. Is not often covered in just a quick little scope of videos. As always, if you didn't see this week, we completely sold out of them. Because I'm obsessed with all of you guys, and I never even dreamed a world where I would say that. But we made our Christmas ornament, so you can take our little Broadway sign home with you. My graphic designer, Chris, was the one who dreamed this up. This is the only one that hasn't been sold, and it's for my mom. I'm so sorry, but we love Mom. And so those were hurriedly making more, so more of that to be seen soon for those who missed it. And you can take a little piece of our Broadway sign home for you for Christmas. For all of our other stuff, or if you want to follow us, more stuff about my life, all of our souvenirs at BroadwayUpClose.com/souvenirs1, or on Instagram, you can just go right into our bio. There's a link to all of that. We have all kinds of new stuff. We're launching about one new product every week. All of them are going to be limited edition, kind of first run to see if you like them as much as I and my graphic designer Chris like them. I think you will. So keep an eye on those. And then if you want to follow us, of course, as always, Instagram, you're already here on Facebook, so hopefully you follow us here. Instagram is at Broadway Up Close, and then our website, of course, www.broadwayupclose.com. I hope, oh guys, I hope you can hear me as I throw my earphones to the ground. I hope you had a great time with us. I hope we brought a little bit of optimism into your life during this insane Broadway shutdown that we're all living through. And as I always say, we're now officially one day closer to Broadway. And we hope to see you again next Saturday and for our next theater, which starts on Monday. Thanks, guys. Happy Saturday night.